Hey, you told me to keep you a secret, and you told Fertley and Truff too.
Guff wrinkled his brow at me as he hid with me and Eros behind a wall of boulders not far from his village. That was before more happened, I whispered back. I have to try talking to your people again. Now wait here for a minute. If they see us come at the same time, they'll suspect that we've been meeting. Like I had when I arrived for the very first time on Permata, I calmly and authoritatively kept my head high as I showed myself to the village. None of the Permatians had noticed me yet when I reached the edge.
You!
I called, pointing to a half-grown yellow Permatian tending to a garden by her geode shell.
Where is Zarzin?
Her reaction was exactly as I expected. The recoil, the yelp, and alerting the others.
No! Arkin! Diamonds above! It's the Arkin!
The village was clamoring at me in seconds. Unlike the last time they saw me, some Permatians wielded staffs, their expressions fierce.
Silence!
Bellowed a deep voice I was familiar with. I was also familiar with the approaching body it belonged to. Green, tall and brawny, his horns resembling tree branches. His mate wasn't far behind, her face in a scowl of revulsion when she saw me. I noticed a detail I hadn't before. Unlike everyone else, Guff's parents wore epaulets of some sort over their shoulders, brown for Zarzin, and for his mate, a color that nearly matched my eyes. I theorized that these shoulder pieces were reminders that Zarzin and his mate were royalty. Zarzin sharply nodded at me.
You, Arkin. I knew you'd come back.
With my hands to my hips, I lightly smirked. It's a pleasure to see at least one of you not surprised. Zarzin neared Eros and I to tower over us at a more intimidating angle.
We're not backing down no matter what, so try anything you want.
I simply stared up at the Permatian leader, telling him, You're too late for provoking the Urkin Empire, sir. That's why I'm here.
Hi, Dad!
Guff greeted from afar. I heard his feet skipping to the scene.
Hi, Syss!
He verbally did not give a dangerous enough hint that he had been with me, but his actions would speak a little louder. He embraced my leg.
Guff, get away from her!
His mother yelped in dismay. Guff released me and backed away to give me space, his smile intact. His enraged father drew close, dropped to one knee, and took hold of his entire left arm to yank him away.
I've had enough of this, Guff. Do you know how tired I am of you being so excited about that disgusting thing?
Guff's smile sagged after the sudden, harsh pull. He looked at the angry older face inches from his, lower lip quivering. Mildly disturbed, I took a step back. Then, for the very first time, I saw Guff's face contort in anger, baring the only few teeth he had, and making fists. He pressed his nose against Zarzin's, protesting loudly.
She's not disgusting, Dad!
This seemed to catch Zarzin off guard as well as it did me. The Permatian leader let go of his son and withdrew.
How dare you talk to me like that?
Guff spread his wings and leaned forward.
You talk to me like this all the time!
He outstretched his arms in an earnest gesture.
I just want you to listen to me, Dad! And you should listen to her!
Shut up! Shut up this instant!
Zarzin cast a shadow over his tiny offspring.
I've had enough, as I said. This behavior is out of line. To your geode shell! Zarzin!
I barked. The Permatian I addressed shot a glare at me. I stared back, waiting to see if he had anything to say. I glanced at his son, who was grimacing indignantly at the ground. I found myself affected personally by Guff's negative treatment and his negative reaction to it. As an Urkin, I was absolutely familiar with being raised in tough ways, but it was to shape me into an Urkin soldier. It was necessary and done responsibly. This here was parent versus naive child, with needless punishment and poor communication. I looked around at the faces of the other Permatian people. Is this how Permatians treat their young? Tell me, is this normal?
I told you to get out!
Zarzin told me before snapping back to Guff.
And you! I told you to go home.
Guff shut his eyes and turned to quickly walk away. Back off from him, I said with much disappointment. What do you care, Erkin? Zarzin cynically asked. Apparently more than you. You'd know what's good for everyone if you'd listen like your son says. Listen to what? Nonsense? I stepped closer, shaking my head. This is serious, Zarzin. Because of your negligence and stubbornness, you are on bad terms with the Erkin Empire. My leaders just told me to begin an invasion. Susurrations arose from the Permatians who had heard me clearly. Zarzin was taken aback, fearful even, as if he had realized that his mistake had put his people in danger. I hoped this was the case. His eyes darted back and forth for a moment before angrily locking back on mine.
Why are you admitting this to us? Is this a boast?
I said, grave and sincere. I'm begging you, Zarzin. I'm begging everyone to think about this as hard as you can. I want no fatalities in this mission of mine. It's not too late to make this easier on yourselves. I will do my part as harmlessly as I can, but when the Armada arrives, whatever they do will be out of my control. It will be up to you to prevent them from doing their worst. You have to surrender.
There's no way they can open fire if that's what you have in mind. Not this area. The Diamond Mountains will not allow it.
That won't matter if they're disarmed. We may have the technology to block off their power source. More panicked whispers, and another flash of fear behind Zarzin's eyes. I discovered a new diamond mountain down south, I offered, while concealing the details about Guff being with me. My leaders don't know about it. Would it be any use to you? Can Permatians withstand temperatures below 0 degrees Celsius? And snow?
Of course not, you bumbling freak of nature,
Zarzin said, now avoiding eye contact.
Our food can't grow in conditions like that.
This village has stayed right here for who knows how many generations.
Guff's mother said.
It's perfect here, aside from the Vajras inching closer to us each year.
Zarzin, if we disabled your diamond mountains, is there anything else you know that could possibly keep you safe until the worst is over? I civilly asked.
I'm not talking to you anymore,
Zarzin growled. I exchanged glances with Eros before trying again, looking around at every Permatian face I could see. I promise I want to help you survive what's coming. It's not too late to do the right thing. All you need is to surrender and play it safe until we're convinced you'll submit to us. The Permatians stared at me, some with disdain, some with fear, and some with no emotion. They all stubbornly neglected to answer me.
I'm trying to help you,
I cried, losing my patience.
Do you have any idea how lucky you are to have this?
Still, none of them replied to me. I shook my head wildly, then snarled.
Fine, we can find something ourselves. Blind, ungrateful idiots.
After those last words, I immediately and hastily retreated with my pack legs, not giving another look to any of these people. Eros joined me, with no warnings to give about any of the Permatians following behind. Not even Guff. It had only been 26 hours since I first arrived on Permata, yet it felt as if it had been many days. My sense of time was diluted by the amount of events that had happened already. In my revamped cave, I lay across the couch, drink in hand, and my legs crossed in thought. Next to my feet lay Eros, in sleep mode as I had ordered him to be. We both deserved a break. I needed peace and quiet. Some quality time to think. I anticipated another difficult call with the tallest. It hadn't been that long since the last one, but they could have any reason to contact me again, such as new questions or new ideas. I thought about ignoring their calls until I could figure out what to do. If I did that, however, the tallest would be angry or worried, then attempt to track down my location to see what was happening. They would probably attack Permata early. Fortunately, no calls rang for me, so I lay there, consumed comfort food, and mused until Permata's next afternoon. That was when Eros and I met Guff again, next to the same diamond mountain as always. It was when I parked my ship when I found the little Permatian, Not flying, but trudging. Still upset, I observed, and Eros nodded. I opened the window when Guff was near. He looked up at us, then offered a smile as he finally used his wings. He jumped in the ship in between me and Eros with a sigh. Hello again, I said.
Hello, Syss and Eros. And ship.
Guff perked up and placed his palms on the control panel, eagerly.
Hey, you should name your ship.
It seemed that this meeting was reviving his spirits. You're right, Guff, I agreed, pumping my forehead with my fist in realization. I've neglected to do that. It's custom built, so the model is mine. I do need to name it. I almost forgot. Curses.
Space Flyer!
Guff exclaimed with his arms outstretched. No. Come on, before they see us. As we flew away from the area, Guff examined the cockpit in wonder.
You built this yourself? All by yourself?
Nearly, I replied.
Call it the Syss ship. The Syss and Eros ship.
Let me do it, you goblin.
Can we go back to the beach? I want to check on the Niddlies again.
Why check on them? Won't you know they are out when you see them in the sky? Guff shrugged.
Yeah.
I furrowed my brow in thought. Let's go there anyway. I was thinking about what you said, how the Niddlies and Pearlies function. We can probably find a way to collect that energy they use, giving your people another way to survive other than just the giant diamonds. I think you're a few breakthroughs short of living an easier life. You're missing something huge. You need more technology.
Like this ship? And Eros? And the stuff in your cave?
Precisely. And we can easily provide you the resources, if your father ever listens. I trailed off, but I was probably too late to stop myself from reopening a wound. Guff pursed his lips, shut his eyes, and shook his head.
I don't think so. He won't.
I signaled Eros with a sideways nod. Cheer up the child, Eros. Give him a soda. Guff straightened up at the sight of the blue aluminum can Eros opened and presented to him. He took it in both hands and leaned back to take a sip. After swallowing and slurping in satisfaction, he said,
Hey Syss, guess what?
Yes, I said with a glance.
I am 1 week old.
Oh, right. You said you were 5 days old when I met you.
And I met you 2 days ago. Well, almost 2 days ago. It was almost nighttime, and it's not nighttime now.
Be careful with that soda. You made a mess last time.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
When we made our landing on the Niddlies beach, Guff flew over the sand and belly flopped, not without doing a silly little flip on the way down. Pushing himself up on his elbows, he looked around.
No holes, no Niddlies, not yet.
Eros, X-ray, I ordered. Knowing what I meant, Eros looked down and scanned for any signs of activity.
Same as before, sir,
he said.
Tomorrow will be 1 year ago exactly,
Guff said with a wag of his haunches.
I hope it's tomorrow when they come out.
I'd like that too, I said. We need to study these creatures. What do you think would happen if we dug one of them? The wary tone in Eros caught my full attention. I looked at him immediately to find him in a stance of defensive preparation, staring directly into the forest ahead. Eros, what's wrong? I asked, on alert.
Vajra, sir.
Eros answered darkly. Where? I narrowed my eyes, spread my feet apart, and raised both hands and fists in front of my chest. As if on cue, a figure cautiously appeared from behind the trunk of a tree, then began flying to us. It was indeed a Vajra, but one that was smaller than the others we'd seen so far. I suspected it was a young female. Her skin was a dark shade of brown, with her belly a desaturated yellow.
There's a Vajra?
Guff asked in interest, toddling beside me. I stepped in front of him. Don't move, Guff. Stay with me.
No hurt.
The Vajra spoke up. Her claws reached out gently. She lowered herself to the ground some yards away.
Peace. Here to help.
Her voice was still raspy like the others, but not ugly. What? I turned my head slightly without breaking eye contact. I lowered my fists, but didn't unclench them. The Vajra stepped closer.
Name Lupa. Followed because Lupa heard yesterday near Permatian village.
What were you doing there?
No hurt. Vajra business. Lupa heard yelling. Lupa knows trouble. Lupa knows how to fix. Saw ship. Followed to tell.
I stuck out my chest and squinted one eye. I hope you're not suggesting that they fight back. They have no chance, and neither do you. I don't know if you got that through your head.
Lupa knows.
Lupa said civilly.
Vajras overestimate themselves. Queen cocky. Lupa knows temporary way for Permatians to survive.
Let's stop for just a minute, I quickly and suspiciously said. I asked my sir, Eros, are there any others sneaking around, like an ambush waiting to happen?
Negative, sir.
Eros replied, immediately, indicating that he had already checked with his x-ray. Guff touched my leg.
Don't worry, sis. She's telling the truth. She's here to help.
I looked down at him, my glare softening. You can read her?
Yep.
Guff confidently chirped.
Everything she said so far is true.
Lupa gazed upon him, eyes wide.
Permatian child senses Vajra hearts? I guess so.
Guff confirmed.
I can see Syss, too. Unheard of.
Lupa breathed in astonishment. I suppose that's good enough for me, I said, only partly letting my guard down. Why help the Permatians, though? Aren't you enemies? Lupa walked past us and paused before the water as she explained, her expression grave.
If Permatians extinct, Vajras suffer. Permatians have power to keep planets stable. Permatians part of planet. Lupa respect Permatians. Part of home. Have rights. Permata nothing without Permatians.
So what do you have in mind? I asked. Lupa turned around her upper body.
Energy and planet. Nidlight. Birthed Diamond Mountains.
She dipped her nose down, motioning to the ground.
Creatures here use Nidlight, but also millions of tiny glowing crystals. Crystals carry Nidlight within them, but if retrieved from ground, crystal dies after 2 days. Crystals must be rationed, not dug too soon.
Where are these crystals hidden?
Other sides of Permata, scattered, but also under this sea.
Lupa looked down upon the said body of water.
Sea very deep, though. Urkins have gills.
I stepped beside her to stare down at the water myself. Unfortunately not. I'd need a machine for this. Thank you for the information, Lupa.
Lupa hopes it helps,
said the Vajra.
Urkin questions. I have a question, Lupa.
Guff interposed. Lupa turned around to look at him.
Yes. How come Vajras talk funny? Talking work for Vajras. Thick throats, weak vocals.
I perked a brow. Why don't you talk in first person, then? That gives you fewer syllables to worry about. Unsure, Lupa shrugged, wrinkling her upper lip.
Part of culture? Sounds cooler. Beat shit out of Lupa.
Guff rolled on his back in a fit of giggles, then watched Lupa take to the sky. I hope you're right about her, Guff, I said as I too watched the Vajra leave the area.
Well, she was telling the truth,
Guff said, standing up.
I know I'm right about that.
All right, then.
So what are you gonna do now?
I furrowed my brow and stared down with a fist to my chin. After some silence, I turned to Eros and asked, Do you think you can reach down there? Eros saluted me.
Yes, sir.
Let me know if you find those pearly creatures too. Save images of them in your memory chip. And I doubt this is any deeper than 50 or so meters, but if it is, don't go any further than that.
Understood.
Good luck, little soldier. Go. Without hesitation, Eros launched himself into a dive in the water. He vanished with a splash. Throughout the next few minutes, with my arms crossed, I unconsciously watched the little waves of Permata's water repeatedly slither to shore. I snapped out of my casual trance when Guff came into view. He was taking tiny steps into the waves, letting them lap his toes. His eyes were slightly widened, with dread it seemed, for his mouth was a tiny frown. Observing this, I uncrossed my arms. Guff?
It's been a long time.
Guff said, still looking into the water where Eros was last seen. Of course, he has to go to the bottom and look everywhere.
He sure can hold his breath longer than Permatians.
I blinked a few times, now understanding the child's concern. Oh, no, Guff. Eros doesn't need air to live like us. Guff too blinked, then looked to me in surprise.
What? Really?
Yes, he's a robot. Guff watched the water with more ease and sat down.
Robots are so cool. I wish I could go underwater like that. And over water, too.
Oh, yes. You mentioned that you are unable to swim.
Yeah. Dad and Mama said they'll show me how when we come here next time, but I think they keep forgetting about that. They're busy being king and queen.
So the Permatian leaders did have title names, Guff added.
So far, I know that the best part is using our wings, but we can't flap them like when we fly. We have to turn them weird. Truff told me that. He said it's easy. Fertley says so too. Gosh, I can't wait.
Let's not, I immediately said. Swimming is an important skill to have. I'm disappointed that your parents have neglected to show you. I took my first steps into Permata's water, cautiously at first. When I was waist deep, I reached a hand out to the child. Come here. With a grin as wide as his eyes, Guff darted into the air at an arch with me at the end. He laughed as he collided into my chest in an embrace, nearly knocking me over. All right. I pulled Guff away, then, supporting him under the arms and wings, I lowered his body only halfway under the surface. Listen carefully. Just bring your arm forward, swing it down, clockwise. In a circle, I mean. Then do it with the other arm. One arm at a time, understand? They're taking turns digging.
Like this?
Guff slowly did as I described, with his hands outstretched. That's right, I said, but a little harder, and straighten your wrists. Guff must have missed the word little. He was suddenly rough with his strokes, giggling as he splashed to his heart's content. The entire front of my body was soaked in seconds. All right, I muttered. All right, Guff, all right. Cut it out. Not that much harder. Guff obeyed me, bringing his movements to a stop. I tried to continue, thinking of how to explain the rest of the lesson. And then your legs. I'm actually not sure. Your anatomy. Let me think here. Wait, I think you got it already. Try kicking like that, in circles like you're running. Guff had already begun to test his legs in the water while I was thinking out loud. I encouraged him to keep going the way he was.
I got it! I got it!
Guff exclaimed, now moving all 4 limbs in a looping motion.
Syss, I got it! I'm swimming!
We'll see about that, I cautioned. I'm letting go of you. Are you ready?
Do it!
Take a big breath and hold it. I released the child, but kept my hands close to him. To my amusement, Guff successfully carried himself through the water, following all the instructions I had given him. I watched him swim 1 foot further every 1 second.
I'm swimming!
Guff cried.
Look! Syss, I'm swimming all by myself!
Oh, focus, okay? I coached. Don't speak, don't pay any attention to me, just keep going. Guff swam a total of no less than 30 feet this round. I recognized that the child was quickly running out of energy and wind, and it didn't look as though he would be able to fly his way out of this situation. I assumed a Permatian would need to be high enough above the surface in order to flap the wings in a flying start, with no water blocking their space. I made my way over to Guff just before he began to splutter and hiccup. Okay, I've got you. I brought the little one close to me with his face now well above the surface again. I let him rest in my arms as he chortled with every other heavy breath. I smiled lightly. My fellow Smeets and I had a bumpier start than you. Well done.
I started better than an Urkin?
Guff exclaimed. I instantly regretted encouraging the child with such information. Yes, well, don't start thinking too big about it. Urkins just happen to be not so naturally aquatic. That's probably the only thing your species has a leg up on.
What about my wings, though?
Guff asked, his attention returned to his lesson.
I didn't really get what Truft was talking about, and I don't think we can move them in circles.
Let me take a guess here. I motioned for Guff to hang on to my left arm, so that my right could have the freedom to demonstrate something without the responsibility of holding him. I kept my hand straight as I dipped it sideways over the surface. Try turning your wings this way when you push them down. Your wings will scoop more water and give you a bigger boost. I rotated my hand, bringing it down flat over the water. When you move them up, turn them this way, so that they can't scoop the water the other way and push you back. Guff was a tad perplexed.
I think I get it. Could you say that again?
Do this with your wings, I said, now visually showing the movements I had explained. I scooped the water with my hand, then moved it sideways in the opposite direction. I repeated this until I saw Guff's face light up with understanding. He looked at his wings, testing to see if they could copy what I did. When he found that they could, he tried them against the water. Good, I said, supporting him with both hands again. Now your arms and legs, all of them, everything.
Don't let go yet.
Guff told me, exercising his limbs and wings as told. You're safe, Guff. I wouldn't let you sink.
I know, It's hard doing it all. Wait. Okay, arms, legs. What?
Guff restarted each set of body parts one at a time. This helped him.
I got it! I think I got it.
It does look difficult keeping track with the wings involved, but your progress is great. Can I let go?
Yeah!
With Guff's consent, I released him again. Then he was swimming twice as fast as before, if not faster. He swam with more grace and less effort. I felt a strangely immense sense of pride and joy as I watched this. It made me grin. Guff! The little one was too focused to realize his improvement right away.
I'm doing it. Okay. Am I going faster?
Yes, you look amazing! Keep going!
This is easy! They were right! This is easy! It's better with the wings too, I'm not getting tired yet!
It was true. I could not sense any exhaustion in his voice. It was after 5 whole minutes of swimming in circles when his laughter and pace began dying down. I heard and saw him beginning to tire out and struggle again, panting for breath and spitting out water. Hang on, little one! It took me more seconds, though not too many more seconds longer than before, to come to Guff's aid, having been a further distance away this time. Guff clung to me and gasped excitedly.
I swam!
Indeed you did, I said, my tone very nearly matching his.
You taught me!
Guff lunged for an embrace around my neck and shoulders. I returned it more willingly than usual. Guff's head shifted over my shoulder as if something in particular had grabbed his attention. I pulled him away after I felt him slowly reach over and touch my pack as he murmured softly.
Huh?
When we met each other's eyes again, Guff's expression confused me. He was undoubtedly concerned about whatever he found. Hey, I said. What is it? What happened? Guff's mouth worked to form words he didn't have yet. His brow was furrowed in confusion, and I think pity? Guff? I prompted. Before the child could reply, something ahead of us in the water sloshed and surfaced quickly. It startled me at first, but I recognized it as Eros's head.
Sir, what is going on?
He instantly asked me. He must have heard the yelling. He was probably wondering why Guff and I were in the water too.
Syss showed me how to swim!
Guff happily announced. I smiled again, partly in embarrassment. It's all right, Eros. I I don't know what came over me. I don't know why I got this excited.
You were like that with our snowball fight, too.
Guff said,
Doing this stuff with me makes you happy. And you're proud of me.
"Is that what you feel with that little power of yours?"
Yeah. There's something off, though.
You're right. These strangely open emotions. It must be some kind of sickness. Maybe the water here isn't for Urkins to touch. The snow, now this sea.
Actually, it's about...
Any sign of those crystals so far, Eros?
None, sir.
Eros replied. Right then, I muttered. Keep searching. The Nidleys and the Pearlies live here. That has to mean something. Those crystals have to be here somewhere.
We'll find them.
Guff encouraged with a splash of his feet. We better. I sighed, then avoided saying out loud. Because your life probably depends on it.